We have some audio from air traffic control. Is that what we're going to go to now, Keith? Okay, let's listen to this.
Okay, Challenger, Hopperjet 823, lost both engines, emergency. I'm making an emergency landing.
Emergency, clear to land, runway 23. Is that Hopperjet 823?
We're clear to land, but we're not going to make the runway. We've lost both engines.
First images that we're getting into our newsroom. Again, this is around 3:15, 3:30 when this plane went down, and people on Interstate 75 were sending us these images. And look at how long that wall, the different areas that you can see where the wall was blackened, where the plane had kind of skipped along it. So if the plane initially went down where the first area of charred black wall is, and then skipped down the interstate, that's a pretty wide swath there.
Well, Ben said it actually did a whole entire flip. It tumbled, and then it landed and just burst into flames, and that's what you're seeing here. But that is quite a bit of distance, so it shows you the amount of force this jet was coming down with, which, of course, makes sense considering it was a jet that had just lost both engines.
And we do see a mangled car or truck in the median at this time. Right there, you can see it just ahead, a mangled vehicle. We have confirmed that 2 people are dead in this crash.
We don't know who they are, though, if they were in the jet or if they were perhaps in cars nearby.
Right, and that's what, you know, the car is mangled, 2 people dead. You can see the helicopter trying to land there. But this could have been so much worse. If this had hit one of those just a few feet away, it would have been in the middle of a neighborhood.
My heart just sinks thinking even just this scenario, but knowing what it could have been considering the time of day and the amount of cars. I mean, right after it went down, you can see the backup it caused just within a few moments because there's so many people who travel north and south on I-75.
Okay, let's go ahead and take that, Keith, if you have the flight path as well.
This is from FlightAware. You're looking at the flight path for this jet from FlightAware.
Ohio, you can see it took off from Ohio, the Columbus area, flew south like so many planes do, and then it goes out over the water. You know, if you've flown into this area, you know that a lot of times you're out over the water, and then you crossed over, it looks like, to the Naples airport is right near, about 2 miles from where you can see the plane went down.
Same thing. I don't know if you guys are able to hear me. Thanks, Keith. I'm actually looking at the exact same chart right now. If we want to switch over to PC, I can actually play this in real time because I'm taking a close look at the plane's altitude. Can we remove that little super down at the bottom just so I can show you guys this graph as well? So I'll press play through it right now. This is showing, this is at 10 times speed, mind you. This shows the plane's path, not taking the planned path to the Naples airport. And you could see that right at the end there, you can see it kind of do that funny loop, trying to angle itself towards the Naples airport.
Okay, so Chris, the blue line, the blue diagonal line, that's where the plane should have.
That was the original
That was the original?
That is it's basically kind of an outline for the original flight path.
Okay.
So you could see it was set to kind of loop out over the Gulf, so it had a nice straight approach coming into the Naples airport.
Like so many of the planes do. If you're ever on the beach, or I lived along this area for a while, and that's where the planes came in. They came in from the Gulf over your head into the Naples airport. So this plane, you're saying, deviated from its path.
Exactly. It'll play through it right now. Also pay close attention. That chart on the bottom, I know it's a little difficult to read on TV, but this is showing speed and altitude at the same time. What you notice on this graph, the green line, altitude, is dropping off very significantly, but look at how spiky that yellow line is. That was the aircraft's speed. We do know that the aircraft lost both engines. In a situation like this, the pilot's trying to do their best to turn this thing into the most efficient glider they can. And you could almost see that pilot, just even looking at these charts, struggling to maintain speed and altitude as they got closer to Naples.
It just breaks my heart that they were 2.5 miles away from the Naples airport. And you can see just from everything this pilot did, his voice in the audio, in the path that he took, he was trying to, like Chris said, glide down and try to land without engines, which is incredibly difficult to do. And it sounds like the plane just wouldn't let him get any farther.
That little APF yellow dot or logo you can see in the bottom left-hand of your screen, that's the Naples airport right there, where I had the cursor hovering right now. That is Interstate 75, and as far as we know, that's right where that aircraft went down.
Wow. Thanks for that perspective, Chris. That really gives us some new insight into just how, what was happening in the moments as the pilot was making those split-second decisions. And one thing we're talking about as the pilot was navigating those final moments of heading straight down towards the ground.
Let's look at this video. You can see the smoke and the embers just all along the scorched earth and the grass and the wall from where the plane initially went down, and then it tumbled on fire along the interstate. This is between Pine Ridge and Golden Gate, and tumbled along and then stopped and then burst into flames. And 3 people, we're told, walked away from that. It's incredible.
It truly is incredible. Witnesses said that the plane did an entire flip, and then once it landed, that's when it just burst into flames.
And then you see other people on the interstate that have pulled over trying to get close. I mean, look at those flames. Let's take that banner down for a minute, can we?
I mean, if you were one of these people, you must feel so helpless.
Yes.
What can you do? There's not much to do except for watch and stand by and just awe.
People running, and you can see parts of the plane just scattered along there, pieces of the plane, scorched earth, scorched walls, burning grass.
And when you see that thick black smoke, it means that a lot of toxic things are burning.
And fuel.
Yes, exactly, which is also what can make it trickier to put out the fire, as Chris was talking about earlier.
And then you see a final kind of really explosion where most of the cabin gets engulfed in flames. People running up to the plane from the interstate, just absolutely stunned. Traffic at this point, just
I mean, can you imagine seeing a plane just fall out of the sky? You don't hear anything because the engines were cut. They weren't working. Witnesses said it was silent. It fell out of the sky. They didn't know what had happened until they saw this plane burst into flames right next to them.
And that's the explosion that you do see at the end of this video. And look at that wall. It's a whole. It looks like at least maybe a what? Maybe the length of a football field.
Yeah,
field at least.
100 yards for sure.
Where it came down, the wing, according to a witness, clipped that wall and clipped the ground, and then it tumbled along. And the flame started because you can see the grass is on fire behind there.
What we're hearing from eyewitnesses at the scene is lining up from what I'm seeing on this flight tracker path as well. If we have a second to come out to the NBC2 Alert Center, I do have that flight path pulled up. This is what Kelly was talking about. So this aircraft was supposed to make